For decades, the Saudi social contract was straightforward. The state distributed generous oil wealth and heavy subsidies to its citizens. In exchange, the public accepted absolute governance by an aging royal class and ultra-conservative religious establishment. But that arrangement collided with a demographic wall. 70% of the Saudi population is now under the age of 30. They are among the most digitally connected people on Earth, with a high-speed view of the world outside the kingdom and a growing frustration with the lack of economic opportunities at home. Compounding this frustration is a looming expiration date. As the global economy pivots rapidly away from fossil fuels, the kingdom's sole source of absolute wealth is running out of time. This combination of a restless youth population and a fading economic engine forced a decision: attempt to maintain the status quo or launch a radical top-down overhaul of the national identity. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, widely known as MBS, engineered that overhaul with a sudden, visible shift in daily life. He lifted the decades-old driving ban for women and removed strict, mandatory hijab laws to project an era of modernization. The state established an entertainment authority to funnel billions into Western distractions. They began hosting international concerts and desert raves, specifically designed to engage and appease the young population. While citizens are encouraged to participate in these new social liberties, the state has simultaneously intensified its political control. The government now monitors and arrests citizens for any form of online criticism or political dissent. These changes represent a highly calculated New Deal. The Crown Prince grants social freedoms in exchange for absolute political obedience within a modernized police state. To enforce this new reality, MBS systematically dismantled the kingdom's historical power structures. In 2017, hundreds of ruling elites and royal family members were detained at the Riyadh Ritz-Carlton. For months, the luxury hotel served as a high-security detention center under the guise of an anti-corruption purge. To buy their freedom, these elites were forced to sign over billions in personal assets to the state. This extraction of wealth ensured that no independent figure could fund a rival power base. Next, he neutralized the religious establishment. MBS stripped a feared Wahhabi morality police of their legal authority to arrest citizens, effectively removing the clerics' ability to enforce their rules on the street. He then codified this shift by rewriting the nation's history. By royal decree, the official founding date of the Saudi state was moved back to 1727, downplaying the historical alliance with conservative religious clerics. By systematically removing the influence of wealthy elites and religious clerics, the traditional checks and balances of the kingdom were erased. MBS emerged as the sole authority. The economic justification for this concentration of power is Vision 2030, a sweeping blueprint designed to pivot the country toward a post-oil economy through top-down directives. But the blueprint demands modernization while strictly prohibiting any grassroots activism. The state punishes citizens for advocating for the very rights the government claims to grant. Manahel Alotaibi, a fitness blogger, believed the state's messaging. She was arrested by the Crown Prince's authorities and sentenced to 11 years in prison for posting on social media about women's rights. The state uses extreme force to execute its economic vision. To clear land for futuristic megaprojects, security forces were authorized to use lethal force against members of the Al-Huwaitat tribe, handing down death sentences to those who refused to leave their homes. The New Deal is a transactional arrangement. Modern amenities and new jobs are not civic rights. They are offered in exchange for total surrender to the Crown Prince's economic blueprint. To fund that blueprint, MBS must attract foreign capital. To get it, he is spending billions to purchase global cultural relevance. By investing in international sports and entertainment, the regime attempts to shift the global conversation away from its human rights record. That rebranding requires a stable region. Saudi Arabia has stepped back from military intervention in Yemen and, mediated by China, reopened diplomatic ties with its historical rival, Iran. Regional stability serves a specific economic function. To attract the steady stream of Western investment required for futuristic megacities, the kingdom must project an image of predictability, far removed from the unpredictable drone stripes of regional conflicts. The Crown Prince's domestic standing relies on his ability to convince the international financial community that Saudi Arabia is a safe haven for their capital. This diagram shows the reality behind those economic promises. The flat line at the bottom represents the target of $500 billion in foreign investment, which has not yet materialized. The static bars show a nation that remains almost entirely dependent on ongoing oil revenues. With costs soaring and investment stalling, flagship megaprojects are scaling back. The Line, a proposed city in the Neom region, was promised to stretch 170 kilometers. Current construction projections show only 2.4 kilometers will be finished by 2030. The math is unforgiving. As oil revenues eventually decline and these trillion-dollar projects stall, the state will be forced to tax its citizens and withdraw the subsidies that once guaranteed social peace. If the economic modernization fails, the state will lose its ability to buy the loyalty of its youth. When that fragile social contract breaks, the regime will be left with only one tool to maintain power: absolute, unyielding repression.